welcome back to the North American Open Division. My name is Possible, here with LaFon, and we got one more match for you today. It's going to be Empire Gaming versus the Weird Squad.
And again, good to mention it, but these teams are both 7-1, so in that red line zone, right? You can't lose anymore. You got to keep the wins coming, because if you don't, it's not up to you anymore, right? Your playoff hopes are not in your hands, and you want to keep that as close to the chest as possible. So, coming in, the Weird Squad, right? This is a tank. This is a composition that is
a composition?
this is a team. This is a team, rather, that can oftentimes live up to their name in terms of how they run, how they play. So, expect that to come through. Empire Gaming, though, this is a team. This team has, I think, perhaps one of the interesting things is that they tend to run Winston Anna, at least from what I remember, a ton, right, in terms of having that played through. So expectations very high for these guys, and I'm curious to see how they play it out, because Winston Anna can really do a ton of work, right? The nano boost onto the Winston, Primal Rage, etc. And especially if you're playing against like a May or something similar to that, it can also be very effective. So Weird Squad, I'm curious to see how they react to it.
Well, I mean, they might not have to react to it immediately. We will be starting out on Control Center of Lijiang Tower. I feel like, if I didn't know better, I would just assume that Open Division teams have to start on Lijiang, because every single series we've had thus far has gone to Lijiang.
It's a fun map that has a lot of teams practice on this map, right? Mm-hmm. They know this map really well. It's one of the more, it's one of the longer standing maps in Overwatch. And so you can kind of see a ton of things on. Actually, here's a fun fact about Lijiang Tower. This map actually was the first play. It was the second place. The first one was Oasis. One of the first places where Sombra was played as a flex support rather than a DPS.
Oh,
fun fact for you.
Little Overwatch history lesson, but we're not going to be seeing any Sombras as of right now. We're going to be seeing triple tank, triple support. But like you said, Empire seems like they're opting for that Ana.
Yeah, this is expected from them. They will play the Ana. Control Center playing Winston is a bit of a tough call. You're gonna be walked into a small corner, not a huge lot of leap angles.
Not so smart. Even back in dive days, we still saw Reinhardt on this map.
Right.
Reinhardt right now. The only difference between those teams is that flex support, so Flats is gonna have to be a little more careful. He's gonna have that Discord Orb on him, but the bio does come out, forces a lot of damage onto Faded, so the resources coming out and unwanted, not gonna be receiving any of them. Has to bubble himself off in the backline, but it's Stubborn who goes down first and foremost. Flats gets very aggressive off the back of losing their Brig, and with that, Empire going to just throw themselves at Weird Squad and feed over a bunch of ult charge.
Yeah, support does have the nano boost coming up very shortly, but I would expect that she changes here to the Zen, right? I don't expect this to be. They're gonna go for the nano boost play. It looks like, but even though there was a ton of healing, they haven't gotten a ton of value, right? Slick does have the Transcendence already, and without that Discord Orb, they don't really have a ton of damage coming through.
Now with the rally out, you're likely going to have to use this nano to engage.
Oh, good block.
Nice block from Flats onto that Shatter. Now the nano is out. The advantage is going over for Empire, and just a bit of line of sight prevents Slick from keeping Echo alive. Still, Kiwi gets pinned, and with that, it is a clean fight win for Empire on this retake.
They will want that sound barrier back, though, because they do have to play up against the Graviton Surge coming in from Unwanted. And I think, though, still Kiwi will have the defensive ultimate, right? This is one of the downsides of playing Ana against a 3-3 composition, is you only have one defensive support ultimate in the Lucio sound barrier. And so you don't have the capability of playing aggressively with it, because that means that you won't have the counter to like a Graviton Surge, say. And that puts a ton of pressure on Marco to actually, Mark to eat the Grav here.
Right. Well, he's gonna have to get that eat if Empire want to try and
shatter.
Live. Good shatter, though. Locks down most of Weird Squad here. And Unwanted got bio, didn't have a bubble anymore, so he just gets cleaned up. No chance to use that Graviton Surge. And yet again, a clean fight win for Empire.
Yeah, Slick is going to be taken out at the very end. It's more of a stagger than anything else, and now they equalize percentage on the point. And here we kind of see when you have to use a support ultimate before its sort of mirror control ultimate, that you kind of struggle. The Transcendence had to be used in their last fight, and now they had nothing. Great nano boost coming through, and there's the
Oh,
dive
and a
needed.
nice eat coming from Mark onto Unwanted. No Graviton advantage for the Weird Squad as they try to enter here. Mark's going to take a lot of damage here, but he forces Weird Squad to back up and faded ever so low. Weird Squad can't get in here for a moment.
That E is actually the thing that's going to put Empire well ahead in the ultimate advantage scenario, right? Because now they're going to build up to their own Graviton, and they'll have the beat and Shatter available.
Shatter doesn't do much as it just goes straight into a shield. Ooh, a long range pin onto Flats. Faded though, a little caught out in the lines here. It's a straight up brawl down on the point, but with the grab and the barrier for Empire here, they're gonna clean sweep yet again. And with 92 on the board, I don't think anybody's touching the phone.
Not only are they not going to touch, even if they could get through, Flats has another Shatter, so you're walking into a Shatter here, and that's it.
Not
there
even
she
close.
is.
Couldn't get through the choke, and Empire going to easily take that first round after losing fight number 1.
I have to say, the Bionades are getting not as much value as I think they could. I mean, part of that's because they're running a Diva, right? And so some of them have been eaten. But also the shield placement from Faded has really prevented support from getting, the true anti-nades that she's looking for, right? You want to get like 3, maybe 4 targets so that you can,
but
they're not just
been finding them at good times.
That is absolutely true. They, in the Graviton Search, for example, where finding a way to snake them past.
Unwanted didn't have a bubble. I believe on the Eiko as well when that Transcendence came out the one time. So, but it's not going to be goats here. It's not going to be that triple tank, triple support. We're going to see a few more DPS on the field. Triple DPS from just the Weird Squad right now, and it's going to be a 2-2-2 with the Sombra Widow, interestingly enough, for Empire.
We'll see how this one goes through. Oh, well, not very
it goes
well.
pretty well. Well, it goes pretty well for Empire as
Yes.
gets deleted. Sezco taking out Faded in the back, so both main tanks go in. Only one really gets the better end of that trade. Eiko trying to make up the difference right now, but it's just too much of a deficit for Weird Squad to work their way in.
Yeah, Flats is going to stay alive here, and though Eiko picks up 1, I don't expect this is going to be...
This is the full re-engage here from Weird Squad. Spectacles went far too aggressive there, trying to get some boops, and with support and Flats both falling on the point, Weird Squad have punished Empire Gaming.
Yeah. I feel like Empire, they just weren't really sure what they were looking for. And cost them. You're not going to get the 1 clip there. Unwanted stays alive, Stubborn. Making their way out. And now we have a reset. Support does have the nano boost here. And this could be the opportunity. There it is, committing early on here for that first kill.
And now he's got that Primal Rage up. Goes for the boops off the map, but jumps just a little bit too far. Now trying to juggle the rest of Weird Squad in the room. Unwanted does find both supports and the other Widow. It's a 3-for-3 trade here off the back of Weird Squad's Widowmaker, but eventually he does go down. 2 versus 2 here on the point. Eiko onto Stubborn. Stubborn is going to have that peel coming in from Mark, and the respawn starting to come through for both sides. The EMP is out for Lunacy, but the EMP coming out the other direction is just a little bit better. However, still Kiwi had that sound barrier, so Weird Squad going to be able to sustain their way on through this extended fight.
Not disciplined enough of a fight from Empire. They do engage, but they're just trading away too many fights, and that's going to cost them a ton of time. Here, they're going to switch up a couple players as it is in fact going to be Stubborn switching over to the Brigitte and Sezco over to the Soldier. So they're running Soldier comp here as Unwanted looking for that grapple shot. Doesn't find it. Well, it doesn't really cost too much. And here comes that engage. A good hack prevents...
Oh, a minefield in the back line, though. Zones out a lot of the Empire Gaming team. With the pulse bomb and the kills coming in from Lunacy and Eiko, there's just no opening.
No, there really isn't. Now it's a reset here. Spectacles trying to make it up. Gets there. Barely. But Mark had to reset. So here now, Empire are walking back in. They don't have a ton of resources and are running out of time. They will have the self-destruct. They will have the sound barrier, but part of the problem is that Unwanted is getting pickoffs before they even enter, and Lunacy has been really farming in this back line. The EMP is going to be a real problem as, again...
Flats getting slept on the entry there. Although Stubborn does manage to stun out and take out Faded, so no tank line for Weird Squad as they try and maintain point presence. It'll be a little bit difficult. It's just going to be Eiko alone on the point, dancing around, but he's going to get cleaned up by the Brigitte of Stubborn. And Weird Squad are going to have to reset at 99.
That's the 99% fight though. So only one more fight needed for the weird squad. And here you can. Okay, well that's gonna buy some time. So that's good.
Stagger.
Still Kiwi switching over to the Mercy. They're gonna get the Fire Mercy combo. Again, the EMP is here though. So and Spectacles did have to use the sound barrier in that last fight. Here's the opportunity now. If you can get an aggressive engage with the nano boosted primal, and just sort of stagger out the fight so that the EMP can't get value. This is probably what Empire needs to go for here. But they need to scout it out that Lunacy has this EMP, and with how closely they're playing to each other, I don't necessarily know that that's the case.
No, it doesn't look like it at all. Everybody's caught in the EMP. 4-person EMP there. Flats does have the nano on him, but yet again is slept. Not much value coming out from that support ult. Cisco's gonna have to visor to make up the deficit. Does manage to get the Mercy though, so not much healing for Weird Squad to work with as they back their way on up. Flats in the back line gets slept, but he slaps Slick off the side first. Oh, but he gets booped by Echo. It's not gonna matter here, but a cute play.
It was actually a really good read on the EMP. Better than I expected. They actually used the grouped up players as bait, and they got the Brigitte to rally to stay alive. And that the EMP was set out really early, so there was no real follow-up damage. They were able to survive long enough to get the crack off. And so Empire buy themselves some more time. Again, they will have the self-destruct here. Barrage, though, could be a difference maker. Again, as Spectacles boops up Echo.
Yeah, that barrage comes in, immediately finds Sezco. It didn't seem like Mark had any kind of defense matrix there, and despite the fact that it's ticking up to 83, everything in the kill feed is red here as Weird Squad clean that one on up. We are going to be going to a third round of Lijiang more than likely.
They get the contest at the very... That's a good jump there by Flats, but doesn't have the Primal Rage, so he's going to die here.
Yeah, he's ever so low. No healers. Stubborn's working their way back on now, but the bomb actually does find two, and Spectacles picked up a third, so there is an opening here for Empire, but Unwanted over on the side, looking to just clean them up. He's back over toward the point, but getting zoned out and taken down. Actually, Empire have found their way back in, and now it's Weird Squad in desperate straits.
No one gatekeeping the Winston means that he was able to get to point here, and now they do get the contest here with the nano-boosted Winston. This is dangerous here, but Lunacy gets taken out early on, and with this rally, now Empire in a pretty good position.
And Sesko's got the visor over on the side as well. He's zoning out all of the squishies here for Weird Squad, so there's nobody to support Faded, and Flats picking up the kill onto Still Kiwi means that it is only a matter of time before Empire pick up this first map. What a comeback there at the very end.
And it's all down to Flats making that jump, making the land, get there literally in the nick of time. Like even a millisecond longer, and overtime would have ticked away. So fantastic play from Flats there, and he gets the play of the game. Not nearly. This is going to be the Earthshatter most likely, or the post Earthshatter shenanigans at least.
Oh no, it's just WM1 in a grab. No shatter needed. Sometimes you just gotta left click.
Yeah, true. And he gets the shatter up again, so no problem. I mean, he was at 0%, so a shatter had literally just been used, but to Flats, I think one of the things that we saw from him there was that it's a hero play to get back, and he actually survived long enough to get the reset for his team back in. So not only did he get the contest, but he survived without Primal Rage, which is a huge, like when you've got 5 people looking at you, it's a real difficult thing. So Lijiang Tower does go to Empire Gaming, and they do have it in a 2-0 fashion as well. So that was a pretty strong showing from them, especially when it looked like it was out of reach at the very end there.
Well, and Weird Squad, I gotta say, they were really riding the playmaking potential of their DPS, which isn't inherently a bad thing, right? If your DPS can make plays, let them make plays. But the second they got zoned out, it seemed very difficult for them to try and work their way back in with that same composition. I find a lot of times on Garden, while the Widowmaker does have pretty good sightlines, if you're trying to retake with a Widow, like Unwanted was, it can be pretty hard to actually find that opening pick.
It can be, and I think the other thing too is that at a certain point it comes down to point control as well, especially on King of the Hill, like on that control map type. In other maps you can sort of play around the payload because contests are a thing, and you can kind of get some value that way. But when you have to stay on the point to sort of keep it going, and you can tick up regardless as long as you're in control, right? As long as you're building towards a map win, as long as you're in control of the point, then it becomes like there's also the element of the clock working against you. So in general, that's kind of the awkwardness of having that DPS composition.
Well, we're going to Numbani. So there's a very good chance that we could see even more DPS from both these teams, honestly, coming out here. Numbani first especially, no stranger to DPS comps. We see all sorts of things here, Lafon.
We do. We really, I mean, we do see a ton of 3-3, but we've seen bunker comps here. We've seen Farah Sombra. We've seen
Farah
Genji
Ashe.
Sombra, Ashe, Soldier. Less and less
Soldier
McCree,
used to be
but
a
that's
staple
still.
of this map.
Yeah, I mean,
Once
make a
upon
little bit of
time.
make a little bit of a comeback. Yeah, we're thinking back to Apex Season 1 kind of days.
Oh,
because-
even for a while in the Overwatch League, right?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. But then people realized that Widow was just like better than Soldier at that time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
So, but that, I mean, yeah, no, we absolutely do see a ton of things coming through on this one. But
Well, we're gonna see the triple tank, triple support, that Winston variant for the first time this series. Actually, is it wasn't run, but it will be. It won't be the Ana like you predicted. It will be just the straight up Zen. Very standard composition here for Numbani Point A defense.
yeah, I mean, Support is a fantastic Zen player as well. She's more than capable of both, of playing that flex support position across multiple roles. It's just that Empire, they tend to favor the Ana in general. I think here, though, having the Transcendence, having the Discord Orb, especially with the fact that you can control high ground, is so valuable. And keep in mind that when you're playing against, like, if you're playing against, like, for example, a Reinhardt, she becomes a little bit less, like the Ana becomes a little bit less valuable because the shield's in the way and you can't really get the healing on your Winston. So there is that element of it. But I do like this setup here. They're setting up on the high ground, looking on the low ground, and no main tank yet. They're just gonna switch to the goats as well. So with mirror compositions here, they were scouting out. You know, are we gonna play the quad DPS? Or are we gonna play goats? It's gonna be the goats composition coming from the attack as well. So Weird Squad versus Empire. I think the Weird Squad gonna be playing fairly.
Straight up mirror matchup here. Fader does dive awfully deep, but doesn't take too much damage. The bubble's there to keep him nice and healthy. The fight has moved down onto the point rather rapidly here, but that just means free high ground control for the defense. Despite that, Flats actually not going to be able to use that high ground as Lunacy chases him up there, takes out support as well. The diva of Weird Squad has single-handedly opened up this point A.
Yeah, very well done there by Weird Squad there. It's a very aggressive dive, but he's not punished for it. Faded, that is, and so he's able to get full value in terms of aggro. Flats tries to do the same thing, but he's focused down immediately. And without your main tank, you can just sort of take aggro away. You can sort of clean up the remainder of the fight. So Weird Squad, much better focus fire there. Here now, Flats switching over to the Reinhardt, and they're going to try and play this front line, like support again on the Ana.
Yeah, decided that the Zen not quite working out. Wanted to go back to that Honor she was having a good bit of success with. And now with the Reinhardt, it's going to be difficult without ultimates for Weird Squad to work their way through. But they pop the ultimates. Sound Barrier goes out first. So much damage onto Empire. No other ultimates even needed. The rally coming out in desperation from Stubborn, but it's not going to be nearly enough. And now there's also a desperation self-destruct. Does connect onto Slick, however, and Lunacy going down as well. It's only Faded in the front line. He connects onto Flats, however, at the end of that Primal Rage. So, bit of an even fight. The ult's coming out both directions as well. Both teams trying to sustain, but the rally is going to last a bit longer than the Sound Barrier is. And with the grab coming out, not eaten by Mark, Weird Squad eventually make their way through and get this payload moving.
But they buy so much time, right? And they take so much resources away from the offense as well. Slick's gonna have the Transcendence here, but they need that for the Graviton Surge. And, you know, they don't have really a way aside from Echo to set up this bigger bang combo, right? I mean, they can do like the layered self-destruct where they send it in late and then have still Kiwi boop, but even then, it's still you're still hoping for a best opportunity. They don't have the pin, and well, they don't have the self-destruct either.
Oh, well, they popped the self-destruct a little bit not close enough to the edge. Was hoping to throw that or just push that one off the side there, but it doesn't quite work out. And after the self-destruct's gone, there's absolutely nothing for Empire to fear. They just charge their way on forward. Faded's going to use that Primal, try and connect onto a late kill probably, but it's not really going to use much. I do expect him to swap here more than likely. Oh, actually, he does get Flats off of the map.
It shouldn't matter though because the spawns are closer for
Empire
Empire Gaming.
He's trying to stay alive here. He gets the bubble. He gets out. So now the respawns are actually coming in for Empire, or for Weird Squad rather, and Empire have to play this one a little bit carefully. Lafon.
Yeah, it's gonna be close as long as they can keep contesting cart.
They
can't.
Just barely.
Oh, good shatter.
And the shatter from Flats coming off the respawn does manage to lay out most of Weird Squad here. Faded going down. Gonna be a quick reset. Oh, it was
close.
by a hair.
It was close. Less than half a meter. Less than half a meter. Oh, man. Focus fire, definitely not where it could be from either squad. And they do buy it. That said, you know, now you still have a ton of resources to work with here if you're the offense. You got staggered out, but you bought time, and here Faded switches to the Reinhardt now. So the Rein v Rein battle about even as they engage with Sound Barrier.
Yeah, gonna go straight on forward.
Oh,
Faded going
Faded.
extremely deep. Both grabs now down on top of each other, but only one has a bio. Faded getting caught as well. Despite the Transcendence coming out from Slick, there's no way to heal through an anti-nade coming out from that Ana of support. She finds the value yet again and holds for her team.
Yeah, well, that was an awkward look from a bit of an awkward engage from
Yeah,
the
I
Weird
imagine
Squad as.
that pin was supposed to connect onto maybe the payload.
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
hope
not sure.
so,
He
right?
goes a little too far though.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe it was just a spur of the moment thing. We do have a little bit of a pause as a tech issue has surfaced. We're gonna get that sorted out real quick, but let's talk about support on this Ana because she was someone you highlighted coming into this, and it does seem that she's finding value on those nades very well.
Certainly, I think that's a big thing, right? A lot of divas have forgotten kind of how to play against Ana, and I think that's part of the issue here too, right? Like you don't know when to time to eat the Bionade, and that's a big problem here for a ton of players. So, you know, the expectation is if you can't eat the Bionade, then it gets a ton of value, and especially if you hit like 3 or 4, it can be a real problem. So, yeah, I mean, support getting a ton of value.
And that's one of the reasons that once upon a time, right, when Ghost was still coming into the meta, sort of, there was this thought that Ana was the better support because you could find those Bionades, right? Because you can find them through Transcendences if they run a Zen, you can find it through the healing of a Moira, but eventually it just became an issue of how do you guarantee the value out of those Bionades? How do you make sure that somebody is actually able to get found with that crucial ability, especially when there's so much shielding and that even cleanses coming out from the Zarya bubble, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing though, right? There's also an element of which targets do you Bionade. So if you Bionade 3 targets, but one of them is a Zarya, then you've technically got 2 bubbles to cleanse. But if you Bionade
Right.
3 targets and one of them isn't the Zarya, she only has 1 bubble, right?
Right.
So there's an element of that part of it too. So there's a little bit of mind games that come onto it, like in terms of like just who you get covered up, like who you get covered in terms of the usage of that ability.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's also just a little mathematical thing going there for you.
Oh, self-destruct lands on the high ground. Not quite the best placement there from Lunacy. The
Oh,
Shatter,
man.
though, plays perfectly, catches everybody, and yet another clean fight win off of the back of Flats.
Yeah, and oh, poor Lunacy, you're gonna have to walk off the map, as that
get
is
staggered
a
as well.
long stagger.
That is a long stagger off a short cliff.
All right, now one ult win really. Well, they did use the Shatter and the Rally, so 2 ultimates. But even still, you still have the Graviton, you still have the Nano Boost, and you will have a self-destruct. And with less than a minute remaining here, the offense really doesn't have much to work with. They don't have those same resources. This Graviton, if they can deny the Graviton though, they buy themselves a ton of opportunities.
But if they can't deny the Graviton, it's going to be yet another clean fight. They don't have a support ultimate, Weird Squad. They're going to have to try and find a way to eat. The defense matrix is down for a second, but no Grav comes out. There it is. Comes down, and now the bomb is out overhead. It's not even going to be necessary. It catches Unwanted, but it's just an easy fight. Oh, Slick getting slept on the high ground. Gonna get staggered here as well, most likely.
Yep, there it is. The thing there though is that Empire uses a ton of resources. They use 4 ultimates, 3 ultimates. The Nano Boost, What's it called? Flat's sitting in the corner here. He's going to look for a shatter.
For the shatter. Oh, he connects onto one, but Faded just barely manages to get the block. He gets the pin on Unwanted, finds him out in the room, but Unwanted does have a bubble, gets back to his team. So now Flats is just isolated, and Faded does get a free shatter. Doesn't seem to connect onto much of anything, however. Everybody's using their ultimates as we enter overtime here, but support is going to be the first one down. A lot of healing off of the board for Empire as Weird Squad engages with the sound barrier, and it does seem like slowly but surely Weird Squad going to muscle their way through here. Spectacles hiding on the cart right now, actually not taking any kind of damage. He's stalling this one out rather well, but he does eventually get found, and it's not going to be a chance for another recontest for defense.
I mean, the contest doesn't really matter because it's overtime, right? So really all Spectacles achieved is he stalled himself out and is going to be late here on the respawn. That being said, both Reinhardts there kind of flubbed their Earth Shatters, both of them looking for that flank shatter type thing. Flats only hits one and then can't get the kill, so they just lose that fight. And then Faded gets booped around a corner by Spectacles actually, and loses out on the shatter there. So back-to-back plays where the Reinhardts kind of whiff their shatters, but Flats is going to have another opportunity, as will Faded, both of them having built up back up to that ultimate ability.
Oh, self-destruct is out in the back line. Support gets caught, and it breaks the shield of Flats. Flats does get a pin, however, and the self-destruct coming the other way finds Faded off the back of what I believe was a nice bash coming out from Stubborn, so Weird Squad have to hightail it.
Right, and Faded actually used the Earth Shatter there, so Unwanted gonna have to be a speed run to this next Graviton Surge if they want an ability to sort of clean it up. He does have Eye Energy, so that is going to be a big part of this. Didn't die there, so didn't lose the progress that he had built there, and now we'll have the Graviton. Here now, Flats can again be the hero though with the Shatter.
Faded is in the front line with that nano.
Oh, there it is.
Doesn't manage to get the block. It's a 6-person shatter for Flats. He hits him every time, ladies and gentlemen. The grab comes out, but there's just not nearly enough follow through. Spectacles goes down, and there is actually a sound barrier here for Weird Squad, so they have to invest into this fight because there's only 10 seconds remaining, but Flats is going to force him out, and with the grab, Unwanted is going to get cleaned up easily. Desperately Lunacy is going to be able to trigger this overtime, but it's not looking good for Weird Squad as yet again Flats has just another shatter. He builds him up every 30 seconds. And he's going to help his team lock out this defense.
I mean, the shatter buildup is also partially because support has been consistently nano boosting the Reinhardt, and that does give a huge damage boost, right? 50% plus, so you build it that much quicker. And that's gonna be the hold. I have to say though, it could have been a 2-point hold had the shatter gone through cleanly. So you definitely know that Empire is pleased that they got the full hold, but that they could have done a little bit better. And now the opportunity, now they have to defend Empire. Weird Squad, and definitely a decent opportunity for them.
They did get a good bit of the way, right? Numbani is a very long map where we can see stalls at every single point throughout the map here, but I am interested. I want to hear your take on what they chose compositionally, right? Because it doesn't really seem like Weird Squad have the advantage in this 3-3 matchup so much. I mean, they're mostly gaining ground off of mistakes coming out from Empire rather than solid plays that they're making. So do you think that they should stick to this mirror match, or do you think that what they've opted into on the defense here is maybe a bit of a better play?
I mean, there's an element of that, because not a ton of teams play on exclusively. I mean, support has played Zen too, but the majority of the gameplay has been Ana. Yeah, prefer the Ana. There's an element of not knowing what is coming through, right? So, or not knowing how to play against that. When we saw, because the Bionates came through, and here we can see that the Sombra Fire. Yeah, I would see that they expected they could teeter on this. This is not unexpected for Numbani though. Oh, great sleep, but unfortunately woke it up. So.
Yep. Bit of a miscommunication there. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't cost them anything. It just means that they're not going to.
Well, I mean, you won't get that pick off that allow you to race in, right? So there is that.
Sure, it doesn't stall them out later. It just doesn't give them that advantage that they could have had, right? They're going to come straight down main. It seems, interestingly enough, Sezco actually on the Widowmaker right now, going to force Aiko to play very passively with the positioning. Gonna have to be very careful. Ooh, gonna take a bit of damage there, does trade out, but it's actually Faded who goes down first. Nice headshot coming out from Sezco, although the res is there. It's not gonna be available for the rest of this defense. That being said, Spectacles does go down here, so relatively even trades, but yet again, Faded on the way out of an engagement, jumping to safety. Not so safe. Sezco finds that pick, gives a bit of an opportunity, and already the first point actually is opened up and taken.
That's what happens when you're unable to fight on point, right? You really, because your tanks go down, you really can't control. You might have won the fight out in terms of numbers, but you lost because you didn't control the objective. And an objective-based game mode, you need to play the objective, and they just can't do that, so they lose out here. Weird Squad now building up to this EMP. This is going to have to be a win condition for them. Support another great sleep, but again, woken up.
And with that, it seems that Unwanted going to be having another chance to use this EMP. It does get forced out yet again, however, and actually found by Mark, because the translocator wasn't that far away, so no threat of the EMP for Empire as they push their way through the streets phase. They're already about 2/3 of the way through, and Weird Squad haven't taken a fight yet.
They really haven't, and I mean, again, the EMP can be such a game changer, especially with a nano boost on the Winston into the Primal Rage, but you need a setup to get there, and they just haven't been able to do so yet.
Now it seems that they're going to use that EMP. It only connects onto 2. Not the best value here. And Sezco on the Widow, still uncontested largely on the high ground, finds Unwanted and forces out the Resurrection. Now there's already a massive advantage for Empire as they push their way through. Desperately, Aiko's trying to make up the difference, but only 40% of the way to that barrage. There's not a lot of damage coming out from the Pharah right now.
No, not a lot of damage coming out from the Pharah, but a ton of damage coming out the opposite way. And with this final blow on Faded, they are going to capture point 2 in 5.5 minutes. Yeah.
To get 34 meters.
I mean, you could literally, from the payload's perspective, see that yellow box of victory. Oh, this is going to be a last-ditch effort from the defense, but they just have the self-destruct, and they have to play perfectly. There is no mistakes allowed to be had here from Weird Squad whatsoever.
They're only barely even going to get there. Lunacy's desperately going to have to throw that self-destruct up into the air just to try and split Empire Gaming up, but the push isn't decisive enough from Weird Squad, and now there's a sound barrier to keep Empire nice and healthy as they try and connect onto Faded. All the resources are gone, and he is now gone as well. Weird Squad, they have to back up, but they can't afford to because the payload's just too close to the end, and now Flats with that nano just going to have all the cleave damage necessary to clean this one up and send Empire into the half up 2-0.
Yeah, there it is. The final blow comes through, the kill comes in as well, and Empire take the victory. That was, you know, even with the defense being staggered and kind of unfortunate, it still was not a close map, right? Because they basically only take one fight in the entirety of the defense to the Weird Squad, and now you can kind of see.
You can make an argument that it's what, 3 fights through 3 points.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, they certainly had more fights on their offensive run, but I think that says more about how Empire was playing than the Weird Squad itself. And
yeah.
Interesting objective there. Stubborn had a 92% kill participation in that game. Obviously a Brig player, so that's boosted just a little. That number is obviously raised a little bit, but
I mean 92 is still pretty high.
Still a ton of damage.
Especially considering that on the offensive push, Sezco was on the Widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
So finding some solo kills there, so I mean it just goes to show how on the same page Empire really is.
For sure. You always focus the same target. You have the support, and it means that the Inspire uptime was also quite high because Inspire also adds assists and kill participation. So that means that you know the Brig was certainly doing a ton of healing as well.
Well, we'll see how impactful Stubborn is going to be to help bring Empire to that 3-0 victory after a quick halftime break. Don't go anywhere. We got at least one more map coming to you right after the break. Hello and welcome back to the North American Open Division. We've got Empire Gaming versus the Weird Squad here. Currently 2-0 for Empire. They're looking to close this one out 3-0. And so far, it's been pretty dominant in their favor, Lafon.
I mean, specifically Numbani was, right? Which is
Right.
interesting because that was the Weird Squad's pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that adds an element. I think Lijiang was a little bit closer, at least at times. And then obviously Flats had a hero play that bought his team time to get back to point to take out the fight. So, you know, certainly, I certainly don't think Weird Squad is out of this. It's simply that,
Right.
you know, on their map pick, they go down as well, and they go down handily. And that's the mental aspect of the game can certainly come to haunt you. And that might actually just be one of those moments.
Well, they can't afford that, really, Weird Squad. I mean, they are 7-1, both of these teams, reminder. And as we've been saying kind of all the time, if you do lose 2 series here in the Open Division, you're not out of the playoff running, right?
No.
But it's certainly not where you want to be sitting, as it's going to come down to who you played and how they did when it comes to that opponent's match win percentage that is ever so important.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And mathematically, right, when you're at that 2 map loss, it's
Right.
not your control anymore.
Exactly.
So
Well, and you can't. And once you're at that 2 map loss, you really can't afford to lose another series.
oh yeah, no,
Then
you absolutely cannot lose more than
out.
2. Yeah, lose
Right.
more than 2 and you are definitely out. There's no
And there's
question there.
still 2 more rounds after
Right.
today, right? So Weird
Correct.
Squad, they're definitely going to want to start getting that reverse sweep rolling as we come out of the gates here on Temple of Anubis. It does seem, for the moment, like they're opting for this triple DPS.
Echo. I mean, this is exactly what they played on well, minus the Ana. They're playing 2-2-2. They're playing 3-2-1. Is what I meant to say. As Flats gets hacked, but will get kept up. So they're gonna pull him over off to the point here as Faded. Flats sorry uses a very aggressive early jump. So it's okay for the moment though.
He manages to get out. The resources are there, committed onto him. Faded, taking a lot of damage down in the front line, but has that adaptive shielding to keep him nice and healthy. Flats can't say the same thing. Winston doesn't have adaptive shielding. He's just got a bubble, and it's got a pretty long cool. No main tank here for Empire Gaming on this defense, but they managed to connect onto Still Kiwi. It's going to be a little easier to pin down some of the players of the Weird Squad now, but a lot of them are high mobility anyways, like Faded and Ico, so it's going to be difficult to connect onto those kills regardless. And Flats is now back. Faded does go down. Nice bio coming out from support. Seems like something we're saying all the time, and off that one-person pick, it seems that Empire are going to push their way on forward.
Heiko chases for the kill. Instead finds his own death, so that's a reset now for the offense. Sombra just trying to pull aggro, but there's no one there, so Lunacy will be taken out from the moment. Again, now they're building up ult economy, though, right? They're building up the opportunity to get to that EMP, the nano boost. Obviously, they have the pulse bomb online, so the offense has the tools, but again, an early engage here from Empire.
Yeah, and with that nano, Flats is going to clean up Unwanted extremely easily. Ico gets stunned out and comboed down in the backline, so 2 DPS off the board. This isn't going to be something Weird Squad can really work with.
Unwanted switching now to the Zarya too, so clearly the Widowmaker not working. Eiko is going to do the same thing. Pulse Bomb, or actually Unwanted switches the break. So Eiko literally just uses the Pulse Bomb because he's going to switch, so not a big deal. But they need Lunacy to get him in position to use his EMP now.
Right, and he can't manage to do so, whether it's Mark or Stubborn. He's always getting zoned out at the moment, Lafon.
And now look at the positioning change from Empire, right? They're playing it's a 3-3 composition now, so support plays the high ground. There's no real flankers to deal with, aside from obviously Lunacy
Right.
on the Sombra. But again, you know that the Lunacy is going to try and get an EMP on the majority of the players. And another bio name.
Oh, the EMP does come out, connects onto 4, but the sound barrier out from Spectacles keeps them all nice and healthy. So ult traded for an ult as the sound barrier comes out from Weird Squad to keep them on the engage. But now they don't have a support ult to sustain through this grab, and the bio makes it so no one can heal. Support up on the high ground easily finds that one.
Yeah, that's the freest graviton surge you're going to get. And even if the Bionade wasn't there, right, the support ultimates weren't either. So
Right.
it ultimately, even without the Bionade, they would have cleaned that one up. And now here, Lunacy going to switch to the Diva. But, man, they've wasted so much time. And their ult economy is generously in the dumpster. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. And this is getting close to that last fight situation.
And still tools online as well for Empire on the defense. The first one gonna be the rally coming out. Next, Primal automatically zoning off Slick in that tiny little room, just juggling around that support. Doesn't manage to connect onto, never mind, does manage to connect onto the kill. The Shatter comes out from Faded, but trades going both ways thus far. The Nano does connect onto Mark, but it's not going to be able to save Flats now. Desperately supporting Mark, trying to just force their way in, find as many picks as they can, but Weird Squad have managed to create themselves an opening as the respawn's going to take a hot minute for Empire.
Yeah, that's Empire kind of dump everything and still lose the fight, so that's kind of unfortunate. They got caught in a tiny corner, and that means that the Reinhardt is more than capable of cleaving through and building up that Earth Shatter. The Graviton Surge, it's there in time.
Esco too, going to be very much all of the damage off the board for Empire as they work their way back in. Really, they just fed some ult charge over to Faded there, but
yeah,
they forced out a couple ults too.
I mean, they forced out the Graviton, but that's about it, and I guess the rally too. But they're gonna have still 4 ultimates coming to second point, and now you're in this awkward position where the defense has nothing. So they went for a position of strength to a position of weakness, and the defense trying to find some value here.
Now Faded has that nano boost. There's no Shatter for Flats to threaten him with, although he does get the nice block. Ooh, Pin actually kind of saves Flats there, but he finishes him off regardless. So Faded going to be helping his team just work through, look for these cleanup kills. The Sound Barrier is there in desperation from Spectacles, but it's not looking good for Empire on the defense.
Yeah, Empire, this call comes back to that first point, right? Eventually, this should, if the focus fire is good enough, this should be Empire losing out here. They need to start getting targets down, though, and they're not really looking at anyone.
Now they're caught in a Graviton. They don't have any support ults. Faded is ever so low and has an anti-nade on him. He's going to get cleaned up in the room. Every kill is going to favor the defense more than the offense here, and they're finding them onto Aiko and Faded as well. Aiko trading back, but it's just not going to matter, and not even a tick taken through this scrappy fight here for Weird Squad.
I mean, the fight's not over yet. It's still going back and forth, and this could still turn around. This is.
It is.
This is a mess.
Turning around yet again. Still Kiwi finds Mark, and now the self-destruct is out. Gonna force the bubble out from Sezco. Interesting grab out from Aiko. Doesn't really manage to connect onto any kind of kills. Unwanted getting bioed yet again. Faded not really finding much of value with the Shatter. Now the minefield is down and it splits up Weird Squad. So there's a chance for Empire to really reconnect here. And now with the grab out catching both Faded and Aiko, finally this fight is gonna come to a close. And the defense is gonna hold. Not a single tick game.
That is a mess. That is a certifiable mess. There's nothing to say beyond the focus fire from the Weird Squad is literally not there. Just not there. It's one person they have to kill, and they allow them to stagger back in. I mean, good stagger from Empire, but goodness gracious, you have to get the opportunity to kill down one target. If you don't get it, it's a hold. And now they're gonna, even if they cap the point, it's gonna be sub 1 minute. It's gonna be sub 1 minute.
Oh, well, they're only gonna have a rally coming into this as well as they try to work their way through this tiny little choke point. You gotta be wary too, because coming into a rally on the other side as well.
Move.
Unwanted gets bioed yet again. No bubble for the Brig. Oh, he gets forced into the room. Does manage to live, but Flats finds the Shatter. Worked his way up to it mid-fight and cleans up that defense handedly. 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock.
And now we're getting to the part of the map where even if you cap, you won't have time left.
Likely going to be overtime.
That's if you get the cap, right?
Yeah.
They do... I was going to say they do build up to a ton of ultimates, but while they're there, I mean, nothing was really used from the defense beyond the Shatter and the rally. So, you know, the Graviton Surge is still online, and with the way the Bionades have been going through, you kind of expected the healing is going to be denied there as well. It's just, the Weird Squad is in a really tough position here. They will have the nano boosted Reinhardt, and they will have the Graviton Surge, so they do have tools. But an early grab here.
First from Sezco, there's no support ults for Weird Squad to work with other than the Sound Barrier, which comes out late. The bomb is there, but it doesn't catch anything. Lunacy can't connect on that much, but a mech from Mark. The Shatter, though, from Faded gives a little bit of an opening, but it's just not enough. Too many people are down. 9 seconds remaining, and it's looking like curtains for this offense.
Yeah, it is. And Lunacy gets T-Mech, so no one can touch. Literally no one can touch. That's it. That's all there is.
Close, but even with the high mobility Doomfist, not going to cut it.
Nope, that's gonna be that's it. It's 1 point. So the win condition for this match is set up. Empire, all they have to do is capture point A and then 1/3 of point B. And with how they've been playing so far, that is certainly a very high possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there is not so much a win condition, but a stay of execution condition here for a Weird Squad, right?
Yeah.
Should they
either
manage,
full held.
they have to full hold or get the draw. Because
get the
reminder, for those of you maybe not familiar with the Open Division format, this is a quote-unquote best-of-5, but really a first-to-3 map wins, right? You have to have 3 points on the board to win out this series. If we draw here, we go on to a tiebreaker map where Weird Squad can then start the delayed reverse streak, potentially.
Yes, it's a tough uphill battle though. Like it's not.
Oh, certainly.
It's not going to be easy. But it starts here. It starts in the defense. And the Weird Squad. I mean, here we are. Now they're going with a treehouse bunker. So.
Oh, I'm personally not really a fan of the treehouse version of this bunker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, LaFon, maybe you don't agree, but I feel like this gives up so much space.
It does. I agree with you. 100%. 100%. There's. The other problem, too, is you're playing with the Baptiste, right? So you have the invulnerability field. But when you're playing this treehouse, you're already you're sacrificing so much for that, right? And Echo's staying on the Symmetra, so they clearly think they can find value. And, Flats sees the Bastion, calls it out, and his team just plays around it. And they're going to just go to Sombra Genji. So
Cyber Dive. Makes sense to me. You just play for one. You build up those ults. You play for one decisive fight where you just dump a ton. You switch to Ghost because they're not going to have an ult economy going into B either, so you just reset the board.
Yeah. And, you know, the bunker treehouse composition, we'll see. We'll see. They do have to sort of do have to displace them. And you can see that they're waiting for the positioning to get into play, so everyone is in the correct area. The bunker's just waiting, though. It's literally just waiting. There's that. Oh, the anti-nade.
The anti-nade out from support, but the immortality field is there as well. So Flats is going to be the first one down, and Stubborn falling as well. So not going to be quite the decisive first fight that maybe Empire were hoping for, but they do get some ult percentage on the board.
They get, like, almost all the way to the EMP, and though the Resurrect is there, it's another cooldown that you don't have, so they're still buying time. Look at that. First fight EMP for Sesko. They're gonna have it now for this next engagement.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of the bunker composition, if they don't scout out this EMP, all of them will be affected by it.
Slick has to get the perfect immortality field. Can't be too early because it'll be EMP'd.
Can't be too late.
Too late because then everybody will be dead.
Yeah.
Right? So it's gonna have to.
And he's playing inside the team too. This is so risky.
This is risky. He should be maybe playing down behind, waiting with that crouch jump, but
he
no,
catches them all.
He gets EMP'd. It's a 6-person EMP, and with that, Empire easily worked their way on forward. Stubborn's got the blade out. He's finding the value. He's got one, got two. He's looking for a third. Not gonna quite manage to get that one with the blade, but doesn't even matter. That'll be the first point going over, as now one kick is all Empire are going to need to clean this series up 3-0.
Stubborn heads right back into spawn, switches off to the Brigitte. You just knew that was coming through. Flats onto the right. Okay, misclick there. Just switches over to the reset for like literally a second. I was like, wait, that's the wrong hero. Switches to the Reinhardt. Now we see the Reinhardt goats coming through. And I mean, the defense does have a ton of resources here, so they can stagger this one out for a while.
Not wrong.
Amplification Matrix Bastion with the damage boost is a ton. Like, it is literally a ton of damage. It's like, what, over 1,000 DPS?
I think it's over 900 at the very least. There it is. All that damage coming down straight on the immortality field is there, and a good block from Faded. Flax is the first one down, but the bomb catches Unwanted. Doesn't seem to be mattering, though, as the res does come up, despite the, oh no, the nano's onto Spectacles. That's not what you're looking for. Although Spectacles uses it to clean up Unwanted. The self-destruct does catch support, though, and with Sesko falling too, it doesn't seem that the boost here was going to work out this time.
They forced the defense to dump every ultimate, though.
Yeah.
Right? And so they have to switch now to a composition that is more favorable to what they're seeing. And now it's the neutral fight of goats versus not goats. And so this now
Versus
Empire,
whatever that is.
that's not a composition. That is not a
We call that one the East Coast special, boys.
Yeah, it literally is. It is literally the East Coast. Well, it's a modified East Coast special, so they're not even doing the East Coast special properly. Although that could be argued that because it's like super awkward, that it's even more East Coast than the regular East Coast special.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. There you go, right? So
Anyway,
they're gonna have to see if they can make this work against just a straight, valuable meta composition here. Going to be
Faded is building up that shadow
interesting.
pretty quickly, though.
And they do have high ground advantage, so it's going to be difficult to dislodge them, and they're going to take a good amount of poke coming into this offense. They're actually unsure about how they want to really approach this. They're going to have to find some kind of displacement. Actually, no, they won't, as it seems that Weird Squad have just jumped down to the low ground now. They are going to come back onto the high ground a little bit here.
Expect the commit of the Nano Boost of the flats here.
To the point. There's the Symmetra Wall coming out. The Nano Boost is on the flats. As you said, the Amp Matrix in the back. Shatter out from Fader doesn't manage to find much of anything. And now the ults are starting to come online for Empire. All they have to do is avoid this Deadeye, which they do more than handedly. There's the Graviton Surge. There's no support on the board. The Immortality Field is far too late from Slick. That will be it more than likely. The focus fire from Empire still coming through. Self-destruct, not going to find anything from Lunacy, or from Mark rather. That'll be it. Empire Gaming find the one tick they need. They find that third map, and they win out the series 3-0.
And they literally just outweight the Weird Squad in that last fight, right? The Weird Squad gets a little bit antsy and drops off the high ground, and then, you know, Empire's like, okay, cool, thank you. And they walk in and take the
yes,
take the
take
victory.
this free space. Appreciate it. Much obliged.
Here we see Faded with the
play
play
of
of the game. Yeah.
A little bit of a consolation prize there, but not going to be walking away with the win. Going to be walking away with that second loss on your record. Whether or not Weird Squad. My brain just shut down for a second. Whether or not Weird Squad make it into playoffs now is kind of out of their hands.
It really is, and they still have to win out. Like it's not over for them, but they A, have to win out the remainder of their matches, and B, they have to get lucky with
what their
opponent exactly. They have to be lucky basically with what their opponents played, and how they played against them. So there is certainly an element of luck coming into play now for the Weird Squad. But you know, I think for Empire Gaming, you got to look at this and be like, yeah, we're happy with that. Not only did we get this the 8-1, but we got it handily. We got it, you know,
certainly
in a very dominant fashion. Put yourself up, you know, in a fairly good position going into next week, where they hope to at least clean out the remainder of their matches to try and get that playoff berth.
Well, and you have to hand it to Flats and support, right? We talked about them coming back in from the half, and I think it was very impact these two have on this team.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is how they play around it, right? Because the rest of the team from Empire. Because if you think about it, the Ana, what she provides is good single target mainline healing,
right? And
the Nano Boost generation, of course, the anti-nades. But what isn't there is the Discord orb. So the remainder of the team has to be effective with their damage, because they have to put, you know, what is it, like 30% more damage in than the enemy team does if they're running Zen. So you have to realize that the rest of the team is also playing around that
25% now.
25%, right? It was nerfed in the 1.34 patch, but that's still a ton of damage that you're losing out. Yeah. And so the team is playing around that element as well. And so there's certainly credit to Empire as a team for using the strategy and finding value.
Well, let's talk Weird Squad for a second here, because they certainly had their moments today.
Yeah.
Where they looked very strong, but they have to play perfect from here on out. What would you're the coach of Weird Squad now, right? Coach LaFawn. Okay. You've moved from your collegiate team to Weird Squad. And you have to fix this team in the next 4 or 5 days to make sure that they can't lose another match.
Set plays.
What is your first suggestion? Set plays.
Set plays. Right. If there's something that we've noticed already from, and this goes for a lot of open division teams, it's not just isolated to the Weird Squad. is that a ton of teams, they don't actually have set engagements, right? So they don't know how they're going to react when a team pulls a certain play, right? So if you're walking in on a choke and you're like, okay, if they go through this angle, what are we doing? What is the plan of defense? What is the plan of attack? How are we going to react? And because you have to think on the fly, it's just, there's much less time focused on execution. There's much less mentality focused on execution, and it's more about how do we react. So training to react in scrims, right, in practice is certainly a way to go, and I think that's a huge thing that a ton of teams need to learn, especially the tier 3 level. And it's a tough lesson because you often don't get that advantage until much later. You don't get that information until you head to the upper echelons of tier 3, you know, where we're talking like trials, we're talking like contenders, and obviously tier 2 and contenders and so forth. So I think a lot of teams, that is something they can definitely benefit from. And for the weird squad, they have a week, and you have to make the most of it.
Well, and it largely depends on who you scrim too, right? Like we hear it at the Overwatch League level, but tier 3, there's such a wide range of teams and strategies, right? Like,
yeah, prepping for a single team is very difficult.
It's so difficult, especially when it's hard to find tape. Like if you could find tape, like let's say your weird squad coming into this, right?
Right.
If you could find tape on Empire, it probably was weeks, months old, right? It's not going to be recent. It's not. It may maybe have a different roster, maybe have different strategies, certainly a different level of skill.
I think that's the thing about tier 3. That's actually super cool to me. Is information gathering is a huge part of just competitive anything, right? If you look at it, if you talk to any coach, if you talk to any manager in any game whatsoever, whether it be video games like esports or in physical sports, like, you know, for me, for hockey, for example, but there's always a ton of research put into your opponent. It's not just how do we improve, it's how can we take advantage of the mistakes the enemy team has. And we obviously see the interviews with the Overwatch League coaches and with the World Cup teams and, you know, contenders coaches and so forth, and how they're always like, yeah, we're preparing around this, here's what we think they're going to run. You know, there's an element of that. So I think you definitely you can't understate it at all. And I'm interested to see how teams learn from that as time moves on.
Well, that will be it here for us for the Open Division today. There will be more action coming to you later. This is only round 9 of the 11 here, so make sure you follow the Overwatch Contenders channel. Keep up to date on that, but until then, we'll see you around. Bye.